today. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning where couldn't be any grumpier. Like, he should be the host today. And honestly, for the last couple of months over here, he could have taken over Mondays. But Matush is in the house. What's happening?
I've got nothing to say. I'm here. Look, okay, another week begins, and we've got positive things to look forward to. Don't ask me what those are, because I don't know.
Tweedo?
But there is change on the horizon.
I don't know. Is there change on the horizon? Cersei's in the house. What's going on? Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because that game, man, we tried to save you. Well, we didn't try to save you, let's face it. But you watch it on a tape delay in the old days, if you will. So normally you are kind of like off the radar, off the grid the entire Saturday. Come home, watch it. I did bring it up in the chat yesterday. I was like, do we warn this guy? Because he's going to come home after work and he's going to be subject to this 2 hour of this misery. But Cersei, by the way, who's in the comments right now, was the first one to say, we suffered together, I think was his words. Don't quote me exactly. So I was like, you know what? He's got a point. Let the fucker suffer.
And the fucker did suffer. Honestly, I did when it went 2-0. I think after Igor Jesus' goal was disallowed, like, okay, this is the moment where everything, we got so lucky here. Everything changes now, right? This is the moment. And then we go down 2-0 again. And I turned it off and I checked the score. And I was like, all right, I thankfully I didn't waste my entire second half watching it too, because it took all of 2 minutes in the second half before I gave up. But I have learned my lessons now. And I don't think, unless things change in the next couple of weeks, I'm not going to be doing that anymore for a while.
I don't know. So what can change after the post-match? Well, during the post-match, I should say, like Slot was talking about how it's his responsibility, which, obviously we know, but it's good to hear it from him, I guess, as opposed to, trying to come up with stuff. I almost feel like at this point, it's probably harder to come up with excuses than just like own up to it, because it's not a one-off. I think in the past you could have said, hey, I don't know, like good old Klopp days. It's too dry. It's too wet. Whatever he came up with that week, the wins, early game and stuff like that. With the run we have going, it's hard to kind of make an excuse for anything at this point.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. So I guess my question to you is, how much longer do we not see a change before we see the ultimate change, right? I think both of us have been on here on the show talking about Slot getting the longest leash possible because he came in, he won the league in his first year, right? So He gets that leash, but just because it starts longer doesn't mean he's not tugging on it. It's getting closer and closer. So I guess, where is your leash at this point? Because I know several weeks ago we were both like, no conversation about it, like nothing until the end of the season.
I don't know. I'm more like this run of games over here. You have to see something. I don't know what that something is, though. Like, I don't know if you have to see a winning streak. I don't know if you're going to see like a couple of like wins, losses, but the schedule is very favorable. But this was a starting point. That was my thing. I know it's after the international break and all that. That's not easy to say, but man, you really want to see a reaction in terms of like a mini streak going. Even if it is 3 wins and a draw or something like that, you got to see something.
At least a draw, right? Not just a loss, right? Because
that's another thing. Yeah.
It's more demoralizing.
Do you want to see a change in, I guess a change in performance will result in a change in result as well. But like, what are you after seeing? Because I see a lot of, Liverpool Xavi says, and I think My worry is the moment Slot loses the dressing room. There's a lot of comments on people like he's lost the dressing room and stuff. I mean, there's no way to know that,
Right.
but the lack of effort has to be something that is more concerning than anything else. Because when we say change and stuff, like, do we want to see different results? Do we want to see a different formation and stuff? But I want to see more of a response. It feels like this team goes out after losing 3-4 games, and I wanted to show that desperate is probably not the right word, but I don't know what the word.
I think desperation is fair.
I guess, yeah, some kind of a passion of saying like, hey, we gotta fucking make this right, as opposed to it feels like they come out like, okay, watch this Mojo coming back kind of an attitude, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, there's no bite to the team, and we've talked about this for a while, and I think part of the manager's responsibility, or the coach's responsibility, if he wants to be the coach instead, is to get that bite into your players. Like part of your responsibility as that person in charge is to make sure that everyone else is up to the standard you want them to be at. Now, I do think there is something to be said about the really poor performances from players overall, like Konate, for example, that goes beyond just slot and tactics and inspiration. That sometimes just goes to the player and just where his head is at. So there has to be a little bit said from the player side of things, but it is the manager side of things to get that bite in them. And as awful as everything looks now, I will say we're only 3 points off of fourth as it stands, right? Yeah. So it's not like the team isn't in such a desperate situation now where one result puts you right back in the top four. You don't have to worry about being too far off the pace quite yet. Now, obviously, if things continue going this way, much different conversation. But as it stands, with the good start that they had, you've awarded yourself, I mean, not 6 losses. We never wanted to award the team 6 losses, but you've awarded yourself the chance to still be within the competition of where you want to be. Maybe, not fighting for the title anymore, but top 4 at least. You're still only 3 points off that. So if there's anything that's positive, is that there's a 1 result distance between where they're at now and a Champions League spot.
That's the thing. I mean, like Liverpool Travis asked, good morning, sir. What do you guys honestly think Slot did during the 2 weeks of the international break? Ryan was asking the same question. Nothing really changed. I guess here's the thing. That's like twofold, right? One, you could say, like, he came back from the international break, no Wirtz. If he had a plan for Wirtz finally during the international break, like you were like, this is what we're going to do. Well, there's no Wirtz. There's no right back, right? A part of me says that in his defense. But the other part says you would think during this international break, unless he was planning all international break to play Szoboszlai at right back, he would say, well, part of the problem is people are playing out of position all the time. And I felt like that's like, and I'm taking my midfielder who runs the most, wins the most balls off of the midfield to make him a right back. And I think, when you see that again, then I can't defend them anymore, because you have 2 guys sitting on the bench who actually play right back. Even if Ramsey is not ready, he's at least a right back. Gomez, we talked about it before, but dude, it's the end of freaking November. You're reeling. You gotta do something. You gotta take some chances to make it right. I understand not throwing all 3 center backs out there and all that kind of crap, but there is no other time. Like, this is the time. You throw Gomez out there. Whatever happens, happens, so that you can at least get 3 points. You don't have the luxury of, no, let's play it safe over here. At least he shouldn't have the luxury of saying that.
Yeah, and there is something to be said, just because when you look at, let's say, Calvin Ramsey, and maybe he's not good enough, fine. But him playing his natural position, maybe that makes other players better because they're playing in their more natural positions, right? I mean, we've seen that before, like the year where we had to play 2 midfielders as center backs because Klopp refused to play actual center backs as center backs. And as soon as actual center backs, albeit not the best ones, were playing that position, the team played better, right? So there is that stubbornness that, okay, I get it. Maybe he's not as good as you want him to be. That's fine. He is your fourth choice right back at this point, but he's a right back. So you put a right back in the right back. You have Joe Gomez. If you're not going to play Joe Gomez as a right back at this time because you're worried about the depth at center back, but you don't play him as center back either because you're not dropping Konate, then what's the point of having him at all then, outside of just filling up the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, Wrestler Crab says, good morning, by the way, sir. A lot of people out here blaming Konate. He says, in my opinion, Van Dijk has been worse. I don't think he's been worse than Konate. That's really because it's a really low bar, unfortunately, for Konate over there. He has not looked good all the season. I agree. He has not looked himself. I think he's looked like he hasn't looked the world beater he normally is. He's just looked like a solid center back, right? He has like made errors and stuff like that. But to be fair to him, when you have Konate on one side and then Kirk is on the other side, it's kind of like harder to do what he normally does. But then he's aging. He's never going to be that guy. The problem with Van Dijk, I think when Rasterkrab says his aura is gone, he's always played like this where he looks like he's not even trying. And I've been saying this for a couple of months now. That stuff is great, you know, like when it works, because you're like, look at him. He's not even breaking a sweat. His hair is still perfect and stuff like that. But when it doesn't work, it almost looks like, well, he's not trying. That's why kind of a deal. I think that's how he's always played. But, you know, he was like really good at it. I just think Konate is the main culprit there. I don't know if he's the only guy. Like people make it sound like, once we switch Konate, everything's going to get fixed, but that's not the case either.
No, it's not. No, I mean, they're at every level, at every spot in this team, performances have to get better. Everything has to be fixed, and it's not just down to one. But the best place to start is usually at the back, though, right? Because the more confident a team is at the back, the more confident they are going forward, because they know, you know, when they're coming back, there's not as much worry. When you're leaking in 2, 3, 4 goals a game, there's no trust in that back line, then the offense, the attack becomes much more timid, right? Every other player is thinking about defensive responsibility, maybe not every other player, but they're thinking about different responsibilities because defensively it's not solid. That's the problem too.
He says the only light shining light. I mean, yeah, but and then you take that guy who's your shining light and play him out of position. That's the part that loses me. McAllister, good morning, sir. My worry is that there doesn't seem to be a plan. If I'm PSV, I'm sitting deep, letting us play a high line and counter-attacking. Yes, unfortunate. The problem there, I think, is we got to freaking score. I mean, I think that's the issue but I did not think we started the game poorly. Mm-hmm. But as it always happens, whenever you give away a needless corner kick, it always results in something bad. Like when you give away like stupidly the way we did because of like lack of communication and stuff. And I keep going back to this. I'll probably say this all week, but a regular right back does not make that mistake and let that ball bounce and put Konate in that situation to give that corner kick in the first place. That's a midfielder move, hoping somebody from behind your center back or whatever is like, you guys got this right, kind of a thing. It's like, dude, no, like if nobody's calling you off, you attack that ball and you cleared it, you take ownership of it. He kind of like left it, and then that's what happened. So, I mean, James says FSG need to act and sack them. I mean, you kind of asked me, I do still think nothing is going to happen till, unless he resigns or something, I don't see anything happening until Christmas at the earliest. And then he has an opportunity with the games we have there until then, I should say, to make a mini run, get some 3 points, and we see some improvements and stuff like that. Whereas, I mean, how long is your leash, I guess, because you asked me. That's kind of like, my leash goes till like Christmas now. I mean, if you keep doing this, especially if you keep doing this until Christmas. But I think if you get some wins and stuff, like you're saying, you're not that far off, because so one win is going to bump you up. And then even if you get a draw, another win is going to get you closer and stuff like that. But how long is your leash right now? Because most people have already yanked them back in.
I guess part of the problem is if you do get that one win and then you have another couple losses and you get another win and a couple losses. Like you're not really improving, right? So
Yeah.
even if the win is there, sometimes just winning a football match doesn't give you enough base that you need, because if you win and then you lose several after that, clearly there isn't anything that worked. It just happened to be an okay game and you're playing West Ham, right? So that's, I think with this week especially, there needs to be a result against PSV and West Ham. While my leash is long, like I do think he gets beyond Christmas. More importantly, if there are no wins this week, then I think the pressure is really there. I think he might be gone. Not that I would say that I would want him gone, but this week especially, when you have Forest, PSV, West Ham, all three of those are losses. He's gone. I think there's no coming back from that. There has to be something here, because we talked about this all before the international break. This was, fine. You went through your tough run of fixtures. Okay, you come back. You have Forest. You have PSV. You have West Ham. You have Wolves. Like, this is the time to get things turned around. So if he doesn't use that time to turn it around, then we're just going back against what we said before. So I guess in my head, then that's where I'm at. Is if this week goes to absolute shit, he's gone. But I do think he gets beyond Christmas, and I do think he gets January.
Because, by the way, if you're following us, I always forget to say this, but hit the thumbs up. It lets some other poor soul aware of our presence over here and bring him on as well. Where we're at, before we started today, we were at 1,499 subscribers. So we need one more victim to get to 1,500 over here. So help the cause, hit that thumbs up. If you have not subscribed already, you can really help the cause and subscribe as well. But how did you think? I mean, I know what he's saying, and I do think, McAllister Goat is right in that sense that we didn't really create a lot, but I felt like maybe the bar is really low, but it felt like they had like a bit more energy, a bit more discipline, maybe being home and stuff. I was like, this could be a good day. I wasn't like, here we go again from like the get-go. So I guess maybe my bar has gone really low in terms of what I consider a decent start. But I did not think, when you watch that first half should have been a 0-0 at most. It should not have been, going in behind.
Yeah. And I think that's the worst part about where this team is at right now, is that the moment they go behind, it's lost, right? There is the first 6 games of the year, we had that feeling of no matter what happens, there is a chance for this team to come back. And now it feels like this team has to score first. Otherwise, they're completely out and they're completely gone from the game. So that's the most frustrating thing. Again, I do think Forest deserve to be up at the half, because even if that corner is taken care of, Igor Jesus' goal should have stood. That was not a handball. It's never a handball. If that was for us, we would have been screaming and yelling at the TV.
True.
So yeah. I think the team deserved to be down. Maybe not more than 1-0, but 1-0 for sure.
Yeah, I think the second goal, as Football Flashback is saying too, I did not think that was a handball. But my thought is, I don't think that situation would have happened if we weren't down 1-0. That was like right after the goal. What the hell is going on? Here we go again. Kind of like a mode by the team, which is probably more of a concern than anything else. Rasta says, and I do not agree to this, I mean, giving Slot's time is an enemy of Liverpool. Like, are you going to change a manager today? Who's going to be in charge? And I know, like, people, I understand when
Gerrard.
Yeah, like, who's going to be in charge? You have to have somebody. I mean, that's not how a business runs. You don't just, like, everybody's complaining about freaking Van der Vorst or whatever. So it's not like, you're going to put the assistant in charge in interim. So who's going to be in charge of this team? And we're talking about him losing the locker room and stuff like that. How is that going to impact the team? If he has not lost the locker room, I don't know, like, changing a manager is the right move. I agree with you. Probably, I mean, West Ham game, I'm not that confident. I'll be honest, like, more than the PSV game, West Ham game will be the telling one. Like, if you beat PSV, but then lose to West Ham, I don't know if you gained anything out of that, because I feel like the Champions League, you're going to be in the next round either way. You had, two of your toughest games. You came away with wins against the Madrid teams. So you got those 6 points over there. You're going to be in good shape regardless, I think, when it comes to the Champions League. The more important one is West Ham. And the sad thing is, like, now people are probably looking at it as, this team can be had, and that's probably like not a good thing. We talked about this before, even when Klopp was here. Teams played differently against us compared to City, and we always complain about it because you could be had on the counter because of the style we played. So it's kind of dangerous when you keep going out to these away games and then anything. Oh, come on, really, Bob? You just lost all credibility with me, man. You got to be kidding me. Like Gerard, like what has Gerard done as a manager? I honestly am really against having ex-players doing it anyway, exactly because of this, because it biases us looking at their players' career and thinking, they deserve something. As a manager, Gerard could not manage Villa. So.
Do these people that want Steven Gerrard to come in and take the helm realize he is the reason that Liverpool also lost the league a few years ago when Villa went up 2-0 on City and Gundogan scored a hat-trick in 13 minutes to win them the title? You realize Steven Gerrard was the manager at that point, right? Because we talked about Gerrard and Coutinho being together and taking down City to win the league for Liverpool, and then they collapsed in 13 minutes because that was Stevie G written all over it. So yeah, some of you guys are ridiculous. I get the romanticizing part of it. It's cute, it's fun, but it's not realistic. And if you are thinking that is realistic, then there needs more help.
Right? Bob, he's failed like literally everywhere except Scotland. I mean, that's the thing.
In a 2-team league. And he just happened to be on the right team in the right year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And, Slot has won the Premier League. I mean, that's whether we like it or not. I hate this whole, was Klopp's team. Well, Klopp didn't win with that team. Slot did. So got to give him some credits. I just don't understand we weren't saying this like, I don't know, 8 games ago, 9 games ago. So you can't he can't be a bad manager now. You can kind of say, I understand the argument of losing the team and all that kind of stuff, or being stubborn. I can get behind all those arguments, but I don't get behind the argument that this guy doesn't know how to manage suddenly because he won the Premier League with this team last year. So, and we praised a lot of things throughout the year. It wasn't about like winning it. I mean, he is the one who went there, Bob. Now, why the fuck did he go there? That's his fault for going there. And that's his fault for going there because he knew nobody else was interested in him. There has to be a reason why nobody is knocking on Stevie's door and saying, like, hey, all these manager jobs open and nobody's going to Steve. He had to go to Saudi Arabia, and not even one of the top teams, mind you.
They know that to go to. He's too good of a manager, so they don't even want to offer him a job. Like, yes. he's waiting for a really, really good job because he deserves it, because he's a much better manager than anyone else that we know of. And it's what I think someone said something about how far down must we drop. We just had like a 10-minute conversation about where we're at. We are still giving him the benefit of the doubt, especially this week, because he earned himself that by winning the Premier League. This club isn't the history of this club isn't about going through as many managers as possible. It's about going through tough times with who you have, right? And as soon as something goes wrong, everyone wants to jump on one specific thing and not give the time or the patience to someone who has deserved it. Whether you like it or not, winning the league, the Premier League, gives you that time. It gives you a little bit of that leash, and that's where we're at right now. And again, for anyone else who's trying to count the last 4 or 5 games of last year into any of these losses, you are absolutely ridiculous, and you're hypocrites, because last year we were partying. We were hungover from Ibiza because everyone was celebrating the league. No one counted those games. No one cared. Not a single person cared. Not a single manager cared. Not a single player cared. Any team in the league didn't care because the league was already wrapped up in one. So if you're going to use those games as part of your statistics for this year, then you're doing a disservice to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my thing is with that, you don't need to do that. This is what I mean. I actually commented on somebody because I hate these like stats of since last March and stuff. Nobody gave a damn about last March. They were hungover, they were partying. I mean, nobody cared. We didn't care. We just laughed it off. We did live watch alongs and just like laughed and said whatever and stuff. Disappointed, but did not care. So I don't understand why people go out of their way. This is what kills me about fans sometimes. The stats this year are bad enough. Like you don't have to go to make the number even more impressive or even worse or something like that. That's what I understand. What is the point of that? Because if you do not know why we lost at the end of last season compared to why we're losing now, I think you lose all credibility anyway. Because that has nothing to do with this one. There are different reasons for losing then compared to now. And I think the biggest reason now is I think Rastovkrai was talking about earlier that, when Slot came in, took Klopp's team, made some tweaks, but now it's at the point of making a lot more than tweaks because in terms of all these new players as well. So you have to change the style. And I mean, he has not been able to implement that. I think some of them is stubbornness, like a couple of people were saying in the chat earlier. But aside from that, I think he just has to get your starting 11 sets. And I understand not everybody's going to be freaking healthy, but then, subscribe somebody over like at least in the same position. Like if you're going to get somebody, if your right back is out in the formation you wanted, put another right back in there and not tinker away. And what kills me about Slot, and this is like the thing that probably annoys me the most, is when things are going bad in a game, he becomes like this 12-year-old playing FIFA where he just constantly dumps like attacking players in and expects it to make an impact. That works here and there, but it's not even like you're constantly loading it into the box. So the more attacking players you have in the vicinity, we're not anyway. So I just don't understand that way of thinking over there.
Yeah, I think
I do understand this though, that I mean, that's my bigger concern is I
Yeah.
feel like there is not, that's more than anything else. That's what worries me. I feel like the team does not have, it feels like they don't have the energy to fight. I don't know, that's lack of confidence making them look like that. I don't know what it is, but it looks like they don't have the energy to fight back.
Yeah, and that again, I think that it starts with the manager, right? To inspire to have that bite. So yeah, and we're not sitting here saying that Slot deserves no criticism at all. If people are listening and watching, they realize that there are serious concerns, and we've had serious concerns for weeks. I think my biggest thing was after I think it was after the League Cup exit, where he was talking about the depth of squads and how City was playing this and Chelsea was playing this, while he himself chose not to include, 8 of the potential starting 11 from the first team, and then complain about the depth after realizing that he had the depth there at his disposal. That was one of the more frustrating things. So it's not like he's a saint that can do no wrong, but we also have to understand that he is the manager of Liverpool Football Club. We're not going to just throw everything away, get a brand new manager in. That we made the changes in the summer for Slot, right? And while it's as frustrating as it is to not see those changes happen, I think we still have to give it time to see what those changes are. I know that sounds ridiculous because we've had 3-4 months, but we need to give it time. And it doesn't help, like you said, we have some injuries coming off the international break. There were probably plans. Granted, not a lot of justification in losing the Forest 3-0 at home, even with the talent you have, whether or not Wirtz was hurt, whether or not we had a right back. But I think it's just the lack of, or the stubbornness plus the lack of using players at their true positions, which is what we saw under Klopp too. I think those are similar things that we get frustrated by.
Deluded Steve says, will we no man. Will you still back Slot even if he gets us? He's not getting us right. So let's relax. Well, it's the only highlight of my weekend, Kev. I can tell you that. And that was about to go down. I was about to break a TV because they were down 2-0 at halftime, but that's a different story.
Hold on, can I just say this really quick? Sure. Like 15 minutes ago, I said that if he doesn't get results this week against PSV and West Ham, he's gone. It's not like I.
So your leash is basically end of this month.
This is the most important week right now. Yes, 100%. And I'm not going to sit here and have people say that I'm saying that he should be here until the end of the season, and that if we get relegated, that he should still be here. No one is saying that. Also, this team isn't getting relegated. There's way too much quality in this team to even talk about that. That's just being hyperbolic for the sake of being hyperbolic and not having any realistic takes in that situation. So yeah, that's the thing.
Steve, you are deluded, man. We're not getting relegated. Let's get that out of there. But and this is what I don't like. Don't say that, Bob, because I feel like a lot of the people who are going to, who were never sold on slots, but had to, or like partially FSG, had to kind of like wait, and then like come out now and attack in full force. He's not helping his cause. That's a different story. I know. Looking at these games right here, I would say, first of all, there's no break in action, and that's probably what happens over here. Who gets yes, sadly I do. Matish, who are you gonna hire? Not Gerard. Clearly,
yeah,
clearly not Stevie, but
Stevie
I don't know. I'm looking at the games over here. I do want to hear like who you want to hire, by the way, but
I'm not the one supposed to make
PSV against West Ham, then Sunderland at home, at Leeds, at Inter, home Brighton, at Spurs, home Wolves. And I think that's where I draw the line right there. What have we done until the end of December? Because you have to do, if you're going to make a move, you have to give the new guys some time to be able to make an impact and turn it around and still have a shot at going to the Champions League. But what I'm saying I'm not saying we're losing all these games, because this goes back to what you're saying. So you're saying if we lose we beat PSV, lose to West Ham, are you firing him? Let's play this game.
I don't like this game. Am I firing him? Man, that's tough. Probably. I think West Ham is a huge game.
I think just the fact that it's away, but to play on like the Sunderland is pretty darn good. See, the problem with that is, take care, Rasta man. Thanks for hopping on. Yes, hit the like and the subscribe. He knows how it's done. The problem is when we start losing, the team, I just feel like the fight leaves instantly. Like the team has no confidence in what they're doing, and I think that's the biggest issue. Everybody talks about, we do talk about this with like in Rival Bros with like Edip stuff too. It's a lot. Confidence plays a huge role over here, and it just looks like a team that has no confidence in what they're doing. And the moment something happens wrong, people get like the players, like the heads go down and they get in this mode like, oh, here we go again. And I think that's what, so there is no chance of having a game, it feels like, where they're fighting and losing, because it feels like the moment we get into a losing position, it just it starts snowballing. Like we start reeling. Like it's not a team that believes in the beginning of the season where we played like we're going to come back anyway. They don't play like we're going to come back anyway, because they have a doubt in their heads about being able to come back.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. When you see this team go down 1-0 now, you don't have any hope, and you don't see, because you don't see fight from the beginning when it's 0-0. You're not going to get any of that fight when you're down 1-0. The only fight you get sometimes is from the substitutions that you make. Sometimes, and not every substitute. Like Chiesa will run around like crazy and show a little bit more passion, but sometimes that running around isn't directed properly, right? I mean, you can't just throw someone on, have them run around for the sake of running around. That's why we let someone like Darwin go, because while he was full of passion, it wasn't controlled, right? And so, and you need more of that throughout the team. You need more of that controlled desire, more of that controlled passion, more of that controlled fight. It just doesn't look like a team that wants to fight for anything right now. And I don't know if that's that's part on the manager, that's part on the players. It's part on probably a few things. You can't just blame it all on one single thing. It's almost like a disease that's spread throughout the club. We're just trying to find the source and start the antidote in one section and let it spread throughout the rest of the team.
Roshi says, and this is the part you talked about this before, that he's a possession manager in a side pack with attacking talent. And yes, that's kind of like probably my concern is like we are not even taking the space sometimes when it's there. My thing is, we talked all summer about how Slots talk to these players. He's the one who convinced the players. That's why he didn't come over and stuff like that. You have to be joking, right? Because I saw the highlights, by the way, and that goal is on Trent. That first goal is on Trent because he got caught ball watching again. Don't get me started on Trent. So I'm depressed enough. Don't get me going there, McAllister. But no, we talked about Slot attracting these guys, right? This can't be what they were sold on. So what were they sold on? It wasn't like, like I think it was Roshi saying it, like you get all these attacking players, they're gonna be like, okay, but you're not gonna be able to attack, okay? Like we're gonna play possession. It can't be that they were sold on. So what is it that's what's happening? I can tell, dude. I can tell, but go back and watch that goal. That goal is on him. He got caught ball watching as always.
Yeah, even better, they drew 2-2 to 12th place Aicha. I mean, it's not like they were playing against Barcelona either and getting a draw there. It's difficult because if we knew what it looked like and what they were sold, we'd be seeing it on the pitch. So I can't sit here and pretend to say, that we know or we see what that might look like because we just don't. And I don't know if it's a mix of a transitional period with a bunch of new players betting in with older players, transitional period, having some loss around the club that may or may not still be affecting some of the players. There is a lot more to it that I don't think we necessarily know. But again, it's not just on the manager, though. I think that's the big thing is we're not looking to not criticize, but we're also not looking to scapegoat. I think that's the big distinction with fans that we like to pride ourselves on as fans of this club is that we're not like United fans and we're not like Arsenal fans, etc. fans where we try to find one person to scapegoat and blame everything on. Like we either triumph as a team or we lose as a team. And now it really feels like we triumph as a team with Klopp's players or it's all Slot's fault. Like that's where it seems like people are at, and it just seems wild.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. And at the end, somebody's gonna, and I think that's why Slot was like, I mean, you're not gonna change every freaking player. If there's like a system issue, or if there's like, you're talking about the virus earlier, you just take care of the guy who's in charge of killing the virus is what's going to happen. And he knows that it's the manager that's going to be gone. You're not going to change every freaking player. You're going to get a manager over there who's going to do it. But by the way, the whole Trent thing in the chat, you guys have to be kidding me. You guys sound like the people who get catfished by the same people and, by like 3 times by the same people because you don't learn your lesson. The dude kicked us in the balls, how people are still, and he is nowhere near the best right back in the world. I guarantee you they would rather have Carvajal play right now than him, by the way, as well. So yeah, let's not even go there. And I think, somebody, I think maybe Bob was talking about like the goals conceded. I honestly think the problem is from the top. I can't remember who was talking about it in the chat earlier, but with Trent, you didn't lose any defending or anything, that's for sure. And you didn't lose creativity, by the way. You lost somebody taking chances because that's what like Slot wants. You can get on Slot for that, but you lost somebody taking those chances and sending those long balls. And when they connected, they were great. When they didn't, whatever, we pressed and tried to get the ball again. I think the problem with conceding goals is more about the press that we have up top. I did not like, to be honest with you, that Isak started off with Iktike. Like, I don't know about like the fitness or if that was a reason or whatever, but I feel like that's our worst pressing. If you're relying on that trio up top to press for your defending, you're in a world of hurt with Gakpo, Isak, and Mo, because that's why I think we're conceding. I felt like it was kind of unfair on Ekitike to be benched when I saw the starting 11. Not that Isak is, obviously, we gave all that money and we want him to get going and stuff. And maybe that was the hope, he gets a goal and he gets going and everything. But I felt it was kind of harsh on Ekitike not to start him. Not to mention you lost a lot of the press. I think that's why we're conceding a lot of goals. We just, from the get-go, we can't defend. We can't stop somebody putting their head up and sending a long ball. And he keeps complaining about, this is what I guess, like, these are my grievances with Slot. You can't bitch about long balls, that everybody is playing long balls. People can play long balls. If you put pressure on the ball, those are going to be inaccurate passes. You're going to just pick him up. You're going to be like, keep sending him. We're just going to keep taking him, right? But no, like, everybody has time to put their head up and send a long ball. And these are all Premier League players. They all play in their national team and stuff. They are going to freaking connect on those long balls. So that, to me, is the biggest problem, is the press up top.
Yeah, we talked about it several weeks ago, is that when you make the starting 11 and you start with Gakpo, Isak, and Mo, you know that you are sacrificing a ton of press from the top, and you are sacrificing a lot of opportunity to turn the ball over in their half of the field. So what you have to rely on then is your defense and your midfield. One, your midfield to control and to recycle, and then your back line to be confident and sure. When you don't have that, then everything goes to shit, because that's the whole point of where you wanted to start from, is from the top, to be able to turn the ball over and then keep possession in that half. That's what the system is predicated on. So yeah, that's the frustrating thing, is that we know when we see those three, we know what we're going to get. We're not going to get them hunting down defenders on the ball. We're going to get them maybe getting to the halfway line while the other team is in possession, and possibly getting a foot in around midfield. But we don't expect them to be tracking and to be pressing and to be making those runs that you need your front three to make. That's why, while I think the money for Lucho was fantastic, and I think the business is good, that's what we're missing, is that kind of a threat. One, a threat that could actually, run down and press properly, and two, an actual winger that can beat someone off the ball as well. Because right now, Mo is too slow. He's not going to beat anyone off the ball anymore. Gakpo is not going to beat anyone off the ball to the left side. He's going to cut into the right, and he's going to ignore Kirkez's runs. Like, you need someone, like Lucho, that is willing to take on a defender. And I know Rio has shown flashes of that, but you can't start Rio maybe you can. You shouldn't, because that's too much pressure to put on a 17-year-old. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think that's what's really hurting, is that we don't have that bite that's from the front. It starts from the top. It starts there.
It does start from the top. Yeah, I don't agree this. I think with Lucho, the thing that you miss the most is the unpredictability, that he didn't even know where he was going with the ball. Like, he sometimes would start and then he would end up next to Mo and stuff. And I think that same thing with Sadio. Like, it was hard to defend just because they didn't know sometimes where they were going to go. It was a lot of like the feel of it, and like hunch, and just kind of like going with the ball, like playing kind of like natural. That's how Diaz plays. Makes him hard to defend, but it also makes him hard to play in a system. And with the money and stuff, yeah, it's probably unfair to go back, and I think we do miss him. I do agree with you. But at the time, with the money involved and stuff like that, it was a good deal for all those involved. We're not going to pay that money and stuff. So I don't know. This is a good question, though. Let's finish with this. And I think this is a good question to discuss tonight as well. Yes. We need, I don't know. You got to get Veers in there somehow. You didn't pay all that money for him. The problem that he has now is, look, you got to kind of say it is what it is and do it. Like, if you're talking about desperate measures, he has to do something where, if you were going to bench Mo, who I thought had one of his better games, by the way. I thought Mo was fine. I thought we did good on the wings, just like non-existent in midfield. And then we set up a stupid set piece goal again that we set up ourselves and stuff. I thought that's why in the first half, I thought, Mo was like more lively than we've used to seeing him, because he maybe got that rest or whatever during the international break, whatever it was. But it's just not, we did not create a lot of chances. And there's no point in having, Isak sit in the box if you're not sending the ball to the box anyway. So, like, that's why I didn't understand throwing all these attackers and then expecting the attacker to do the midfielders' work is just not making sense. I mean, we were talking with Edip, and I'm like, if you don't get 2-1, this is going to be 3. And boom, it's going to be 3 because you can't, like I say, it reminds me of the kids I beat up on FIFA all the time. Just like pause the game when it's 2-0. Put in 3 attackers for midfield. Guess what? That midfield is like, I just like walk past the midfield now, that kind of a deal. So let me ask you this. I can't remember. I think McAllister asked the question, but there we go. I'm sorry. Would you guys rather sign Gehi or Semenyo if you had one?
If I only had one, and this seems like we also have to understand how privileged of a position being a fan of this kind of club is, where we can sit here and talk about this and have that option, right? Because the club has been successful and it has the money for this, and it is a big club. You don't get that same fun conversation if you're a fan of someone else, So I would say Gehi, only because I think while, we just talked about a lot of this being started up front with the press, if you have a more short up back line too, that's a good place to have more confidence in. I'd rather have more confidence in a back line that's given up 2 to 3 goals every game than to add to a $400-500 million attack that doesn't need to get added to, just needs better opportunities and to finish their chances. So I'd rather start at the back and that open up the front. But Semenyo is the kind of winger that would take care of what you're missing on that wing.
That's why I think it's a good question.
Yeah.
But if you're prioritizing, I would say Gehi as well. What I like about what Gehi brings is, aside from the defending, other teams can't afford to. They did this in the past, right? They closed off Trent, they pressed Van Dijk, and they said Konate can have the ball. He can do whatever the hell he wants with it. And this is why, by the way, that I would like to see Gomez over there, because I think he's a lot better on the ball. I mean, he's prone to that, the Gomez mistake here and there, but, he can play right back and stuff. He's better on the ball to be able to create. So I don't think teams can do that as much against Gomez. Definitely not against Gehi, I think, because he's really good on the ball in terms of creating. Because right now, it feels like that's how we're defended all the time. Konate is the one who ends up with the ball in time, because that's what other teams are willing to give up, because his ratio of successful passes into the box and stuff is very low. And then, you stuff Van Dijk's diagonal and stuff like that way. So Chris says, I don't know about Semenyo if Slot's willing to drop Gakpo or more. And I'm not sure he will. And I think that's another thing, like the AFCON lineup that we've been talking about. Hey, we've been talking about it for months, right? About when it goes to AFCON and stuff, especially on the Monday night podcast. We keep talking about this different formation. You have like Ekitike and Isak maybe on top and stuff. Wirtz left midfield, Szoboszlai right midfield, McAllister and Gravenberch in the middle, right? And if you are going to do that, and if you're waiting for AFCON, if I'm Slots, the pressure is on. I would do it right now. If that's what you wanted to do, if that was the goal when you signed these guys, you got to do it right now.
You might not get until AFCON to do it.
Yes. Well, that's a good point. I mean, if it was to you, he doesn't have next weekend. Liverpool. I mean, we did replace Kwanzaa. He got injured. That's the problem. I know we only saw him for like 50 minutes. And in a League Cup game against Southampton, he looked great. So I don't know what we got in Leone, but they paid a lot of money for Leone. So I'm assuming they do see a lot more. So, I mean, man, I can't say your name online all the time. Don't need any more players up front. We need to stop right at the back. I agree to that. I do agree to that. I think that's slot management that I'm against. When you throw more attacking players to get more goals, kind of a thing, you got to get more established in the back. And honestly, the other thing is you really have to tell one of those midfielders to sit their ass down. Okay, tell Gravenberg to stop listening to his fucking dad, and sit his ass down and play defensive mids, because both of them I kind of praised a lot over here in terms of their dynamic. And I know Jones was there this time instead, but I always felt like when McAllister and Gravenberg were next to each other, they had a good deal of like one of them pushing up, the other one dropping. That is gone, man. Like, and I think it's worse when we fall behind.
Yeah.
They're just like everybody is like in attack mode and there's no security. And you have a center back who's not Superman anymore. You have another center back who looks like Superman's ugly cousin at best, and Konate, who's playing really poorly. So you can't afford to give him no defense in front of him, and you have to have somebody protecting them like Fabinho used to do back in the day, or Hando used to do back in the day. But what is your prediction, though? Like, what do you see happening? He basically said, if this happens, this happens. You're firing him if he loses the next two. What do you expect to happen?
I don't want to fire him, and I'm not smart enough to make those decisions. That's why I'm sitting in this chair and I'm talking on this channel, because if I was smart enough to make these decisions, I would be working in that capacity. I'm only saying that he would get fired because I think that's the response that the club would probably be looking for that weekend. I don't think personally that he would get fired. But if there is a loss, I think that's too much pressure for the club to ignore potentially. That's where I'm coming from. I don't think he should get fired. But I'm not sitting here and also saying I think he's the greatest manager that ever lived. And I feel like some people think that if you don't want Slot out, you think that he's the greatest thing ever. There is an in between here. You don't. Yeah. They're not mutually exclusive ideas, right? We can be somewhere in the middle and understand, like, hey, he's also a human being that has some errors in his ways, and he is allowed to try and fix those because he earned himself that by winning the league. We can't forget that he won the league with players that didn't win the league under a different manager. That's the other part. So what was the question? I don't know. I'm done.
The question is, what do you think is going to happen? Prediction wise,
results wise.
Mm-hmm.
I think for some reason, these players, they're always up for it more for Champions League. I mean, maybe not for some reason. I think we kind of know some reasons, but I think they take care of PSV. I think it's like a 2-0, 3-1 kind of thing. Not as stressful. And then they get a win against West Ham. And we are back here next week, Monday, talking about, well, what happens if they lose the next game? I think that's going to end up happening. Is that every time this team wins on the weekend in the Prem, we're going to talk about, well, what happens if they lose, right? I think that's the most annoying thing, is we're going to keep talking about this in circles, is that, well, what'll happen if the results go poorly? And maybe the results will keep going so well that we won't have to talk about that anymore, and we can kind of get our heads back on straight.
I hope so. I mean, Thunder Road, I understand that, but I mean, you're not a Liverpool fan, and that's why you're probably saying that. Is that guy got a lot of shit from Liverpool fans when he was playing for Liverpool, to be honest with you, and he was like seen as the weakest link and stuff like that. And I really do think something with him and Slot did not jive, if you will. I mean, him getting yanked in the first game and stuff like that. But I mean, that's the deal. I mean, you basically said, yeah. Here's the thing. And while I said, hey, look at these fixtures, you got to give him that. In some ways, it would be a lot easier to set the new guy up, but you're not going to be able to fire the guy on Monday and get another guy on Wednesday to manage the Champions League game and stuff like that. So I don't know. This is a period. If you were going to do something, you were probably going to do it during the international break. That's why I personally don't see it happening. But
realistically, I want anyone who is Slot out to realistically give us a name that would actually manage this club and would do a better job right now. Realistically, if you say Steven Gerrard or Jurgen Klopp, you're not being realistic. Klopp is not coming back.
Yes.
Steven Gerrard's not a good manager. I need an actual name. I have one that I
have one too. Who do you have? I have one, but it's not feasible right now. I don't think.
maybe in January. Iriola is the only one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Deluded Steve. Hey, we're agreeing with Deluded Steve. There's a good way to and
But it's
Glasner
not
coming over
realistic.
with Gahey in January.
Yeah. But is that realistic, you guys? Like, you have to think about the club. Is Bournemouth just going to give up Iraola so easily? Is Palace going to give up Glasner so easily? Like, you can't just throw out names. This isn't a career mode where you just go out and buy whoever you want.
I don't think you can even do that in career mode anymore. I can't. I haven't played career mode in a while, but
you can now. You can.
You can.
Yeah.
I have you have you started playing? I've been playing, obviously, because I'm an addict to FC 26. But feelings on it?
I have it. I played it for like a week, and then I'm just too busy to play now. I mean, every day I'm pretty much 8 to 8 with the coaching now too. So
that's
I just don't have any time.
Who in the chat over here plays FC 26? We should have a morning coffee or tea mini tournament going over here. That has to be. We have to have some people over there. I mean, Alonso is not. Come on, James. I mean, he's not gonna. That's done. So that's not gonna happen. I'm not sold on the Zidane thing. Really not. I know his name keeps popping up and stuff like that, but I don't think so. I mean, I think the Glass and Areola are good names because the familiarity with the Premier League, number one, having worked with like these players, having played against these players and stuff like that. So I think that's the deal. The only thing is, they're easy targets for us, but not for them to let them go. I just don't think they're gonna let him go in the middle of the season over there. They're in the, or I mean, it's gonna cost a bit. I would think so, but let's see. Did we think next could win the league in his first attempts? No, we didn't. I mean, but that's why we don't do that homework, right? I mean, they did the homework. I think he was like, everybody was looking the other way. We all thought it was going to be Alonso, who waited out for the Real Madrid job that he got now. And then we thought Amorim, right? And then there was, who was the other person? There was another name being thrown around. I can't remember what, and he came out of nowhere, but those are the powers that be doing the research in the background. And that research is done based on like how he fits Liverpool, how he fits the city, how he fits the squad. I mean, there's a lot of like
the same research that has brought in all the players that we love.
Yeah,
right?
Same research that brought Klopp in at the time, for example. And then, when he came in, we did not question, well, some people questioned, but then when he won the title, nobody questioned why did he come. His head is on that banner already. So I think he's just not realistic just because I don't think Bournemouth is going to let him go.
No, you have a team of that size that is playing so well and is at the best that they've ever been in their history. You're not going to just rip that apart and start selling everyone again. I don't know. I feel like they might feel like that they could be in a good chance, in a good spot to be a club that's fighting for Europe in this league every year, maybe, right? Like, why would you want to throw that away off of just one good season, right? I mean, you want to build on that. I think as that you don't want to be. These teams, they don't want to be selling clubs. Some of them have to be selling clubs because that's just the nature of the league and the teams with more money, that's just what happens. But you want to be a team that's competing year in and year out. And I think if you have this bit of established success and you have a manager that can get the best out of the players that he has, and he's done a great job, especially replacing that entire back line and still being as okay as they've been, you're not going to just rip that apart and start again. Because you don't want to do that for a club that size.
And I think, they would sell, there would be a price, and that price would be pretty darn high. I mean, if they're willing to sell Semenyo for the release clause, they would sell, I would think so as well, but there would be like a price. Man, Bob, we can't agree on anything today. I mean, come on, man. Emery or Howe, and I mean, like James. And you know what the funny thing is? Like those two names, this is what happens, right? Like somebody else's name sounds more attractive to you because we have Shay in our panel who can't stand Emery at times and his decisions, right? He complains about him all the time in terms of like how stubborn he is and stuff like that with what he does. And then anyhow, I'm not going there. He's gonna come with his like freaking there. Hold on, let's finish. Okay, optimistic take. let's do this, Roshi. I have is that this season was supposed to be last season. Yeah, because I think we did not do the rebuild last season. We did the tweak last season. We did the rebuild now. I think we all thought the rebuild was going to be last season, whereas it is now. And clearly, we're not ready for it. So there's that. Yeah, I'm not. You know what? Nuno would come over here and everybody would complain that, like, this is not how Liverpool plays. We need more attacking football and stuff like that. And I think there are guys who, it was like when Postagolo went to Forest, you were like, why would you throw an attacking guy with a high line to a team that's built on like defending? So you bring Nuno over here. I don't think it's going to work. Domenico Tedesco, he's creating miracles. He's having the days of his career. So no, that's what the no pressure job does for you over there. But okay, well, we'll wrap it up tonight. Sadly, I'll probably have a lot of the familiar conversations tonight as well until this team starts winning again. Sadly, the conversation is going to be a lot about how to turn things around over here. But so I'll be back tonight. Bickler is out in Costa Rica hunting snakes and bugs from last I saw on Instagram. So he will not be here, but Gally and I will be on tonight, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. Do tune in for that. If you have not subscribed already, please do hit that subscribe button because we're literally one away over here for 1,500. So if you have not, please do. And grab a friend, drag them by the ears so they do.
I'm so disappointed. We were at $14.99 to start the show when we stayed at $14.99.
Yeah, right?
What the hell?
Yeah, what's going on? Bob, you better have subscribed, man. But yeah, have a great week, everybody. Try to do your best. Things will turn around. I'm you know what's funny? Like, I'm usually the pessimist, but it's weird because like normally everybody's like, we're gonna smash them, we're gonna whenever people say like that, I'm like the man, I don't know. I'm kind of worried. I'm the worrier, but this basically has been a lot better now. I'm a bit in better shape.
This is the weirdest timeline that we've been in for sure.
It's sure, yes. But yes, calmer heads will prevail. Even Bob is calm. But say 2 words next Monday show.
Slot in. There's your 2 words, Steve.
You don't want him to say that because you want us to win. But okay, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you guys tonight. Take care.